What's great about the work we've been doing the last year and our success so far in pushing the need for this review division is that there's been so many other rare disease regulation issues brought forth, all of them, in a sense, supporting some facet or another of rare disease treatments. The Therapeutics for Rare Neglected program is an NIH program to develop drugs for rare diseases that others are not working on. There's also a rare disease report coming out from the Institute of Medicine, which would help establish what are the issues behind rare disease regulation. The Brownback-Brown amendment to last year's budget told the FDA, evaluate what you're doing for rare diseases and tell Congress what's wrong and provide some solutions and put those solutions in place in 18 months. We think that that is a strong driver behind some of the movement we see going on in Washington, D.C. today. There's also a new Associate Director for Rare Disease at FDA. This is a woman who specializes in these areas, and her job is to help coordinate rare disease activities in FDA. Her position within CDER, that group that does drug reviews, we think is quite important. There's the Global Genes Project, as well as the Rare Disease Congressional Caucus, and hearings that are coming up as well. All of these activities are in support of what we think is the most critical thing, is trying to improve the development of rare disease therapeutics. I want to tell you that these changes can have a benefit. Many people wonder whether changing government will ever change anything, and certainly there's reason to be cynical at times. However, there's good examples of how changing the regulations can have a dramatic impact on drug innovation. And I like to look at the example of accelerated approval and its effect on AIDS drugs, or HIV. In 1992, the FDA created the accelerated approval regulations, which said that if you used a marker endpoint, a blood test or urine test, that was reasonably likely to predict clinical benefit, you could get drug approval, and then later confirm that the drug was working the way you expected. The idea is to get drugs to dying patients as quickly as possible. That drug regulation came out in 1992, and within the coming 16 years, there were 29 drugs, including 4 combination drugs, developed and approved via that accelerated approval. That's a dramatic improvement in drug innovation. There were 6 different mechanisms of action, multiple startup companies. We think that's the kind of innovation we'd like to see in rare diseases. Lots of new startup companies, new drug mechanisms, and a whole host of rare diseases getting treated. We think if we make the changes we're talking about, that's the kind of change we'd expect to see in rare disease drug development and helping those patients with MPS like Sanfilippo or eye cell disease that have not benefited from treatments so far. This is a year for change, we believe. So much going on, there's so much movement, so many people supporting it. We believe this is the year when things are going to happen. We're meeting with Congress and FDA. We're building a relationship and an understanding, and we think we're going to get our new review division put together. It's still a battle ahead, but we are confident that the people are supporting us. So if we continue our battle, we hope to get that accomplished this year. We're getting the data right now to help begin building the guidelines for surrogate endpoints as well as the clinical trial design analysis issues. We want this stuff to be solid. We want real science because we want medicines that work. We're not trying to get just anything through, and we want to do it based on real data. So that's what we're working on right now. If you want to get real-time updates from us, you can look us up on Facebook or at Cure the Process on Twitter and get connected in. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at our website, and we hope that you'll connect it in and sign up for updates, and we'll hope to get you as much information as you need regarding what we're doing. If you have suggestions, we're certainly willing to hear them. I thought now we'd talk a little bit about frequently asked questions that you might be having at this point. I'm hoping I've guessed right, but if I hadn't, certainly send us your questions. One question has been, is the FDA supporting or resisting your ideas? Well, initially the FDA was uncertain about supporting our ideas, but as we talked further about them, they understand that we are making sense and that they make sense to them, and they've actually been supporting the idea of this new review division. And if we can get them to support the funding for it, they're willing to put it together, which we think is a great success for our whole program. How will these changes affect investment in new drug development? We think these changes will be a dramatic driver of new investment. And the reason for that is by establishing this new review division, it sends a signal out to all of biotechnology that the FDA is serious about improving regulation in these rare diseases. And that means improvements and more consistency in regulation. If you combine that with new guidances which tell them how to get the development done, it improves the predictability of the regulatory process, which we think will dramatically improve investment. How will the foundation's work help outside the U.S.? A lot of you are not from the U.S., and we've been talking in a more focused on the U.S. We think the U.S. is a starting place, and frankly, we're a small foundation with just 3 full-time people, and we focused in the U.S. because we feel if we can get those changes implemented there, we will then be able to help translate them elsewhere in Europe, Australia, South America, and elsewhere. We think the U.S. is the best starting place for us, and it's where it's closest to us. But we are reaching out to Europe and other locations and keeping them updated as to what we're doing. If you want to keep connected in and help translate what we're doing in your area, certainly connect up with our foundation website. So how can you help? We do want the ex-US societies to endorse us as well. That means have your boards review what we're doing and endorse us. There's nothing more than signing a letter and saying to us that you agree that these are important issues. The more endorsements we have, the more our political force is on Capitol Hill and anywhere. And people seeing that we have 128 organizations on board know that that means we're covering a lot of patients and a lot of patients' lives, and we're able to speak for a lot of people. You can sign up for updates on our website, and I would encourage you to go look at our website for more information. And certainly send us messages if you have any questions that we haven't answered today in this presentation. Anyways, I want to thank you for listening. I do apologize for not being there in Australia. I did plan to be there and unfortunately couldn't make it this year. I'll catch you up at the next MPS meeting, and if you need to connect with me, give me a call or send me an email. Thanks again.